Greetings and welcome to our video on algorithmic reasoning. Today we're going to be talking about how we develop algorithms in order to solve general types of problems. So specifically we're going to go over the definition of an algorithm. We're going to talk about how the idea of algorithmic reasoning, which is basically the process by which we come up with algorithms, is broadly applicable across your life. And then we're going to talk about how we take big problems and then break them down into simple steps that we can solve. So the goal in this lesson is going to be not just solving one problem or one specific problem, but developing algorithms that can solve a general problem, a generalized strategy for solving a type of problem. So now we want to introduce you to our general problem-solving methodology. And in this class, we have a four-step process that we pronounce as Udit. Udit is an acronym that stands for Understanding, Designing, Implementing, and Testing. For this lesson, we're primarily going to be focused on the understanding and designing, because that's really the most important part. You can't solve a problem if you don't understand what it is. Similar to the way you can't write an essay without knowing what it is that you're going to say, you can't really solve a problem unless you understand what the problem is and what are the steps involved in order to solve it. Once you have a good solution and you've thought about it and you really understand what's going on, then you invest the time in implementing and testing. The important thing is that if you don't do this first part here, this latter part is very, very difficult. So we're going to spend some time this lesson concentrating on the first half. So now let's talk about algorithms. According to your textbook, an algorithm is an ordered set of executable steps that are unambiguous and free of omissions and contradictions that will result in the accomplishment of an objective. But that's a little stuffy, so I like to use the term, it's a set of detailed instructions for accomplishing a task. And in this class, sometimes we're going to refer to algorithms as logic designs, but the terms are very much interchangeable. We see algorithms all over in our lives, right? So a recipe is a classic example of an algorithm. It tells you every step and all the things you need to do to bake a cake or make me brownies. Military checklists are notorious. There's a checklist for, getting into your airplane, for taking it off, for landing, all the basic procedures to make sure you don't forget any step in that process. And as you all remember during basic training, even something as simple as a meal, the Air Force has found a way to make it a rigorous and meticulous process so that there's lots of steps involved in it. The Army also has algorithms. I love this picture. I mean, who pointed the bazooka the wrong way that requires this picture? But anyways, you can see over here on the right they have all the steps so that you can arm your bazooka and dispense freedom, justice, and American democracy throughout the world. Algorithms also exist in nature, even though I don't think they write it down as a logic design, but that's okay because I went ahead and wrote down the algorithm for a male ostrich when he's trying to attract a mate. So enjoy.
Mother sexy ostrich right here on my knees. Mother sexy ostrich saying, baby please. I'll stretch my neck out for ya. I adore ya, baby on my knees for ya. Oh my god, she's into it. Okay, be cool. Why the did I sit so far away? And take it to a trot. Relax. Okay, and showtime. Hey, my name's Pete.
I don't care. Just get on with it, please.
Okay, yep.
As you can see, this ostrich has mastered the art of figuring out how to get a mate, and good for him. Good for him. All right, so now we're going to do it for a more serious topic. We're going to solve a problem. We're going to develop a logic design that can convert a number from binary back to decimal. So it's important to go through the steps of Udit to make sure we know what it is what we're doing. So understanding the problem. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? The important thing to remember is that even though I've put a number here, we need to make sure we remember that we're not trying to convert this number back to decimal. We want to convert any binary number back to decimal. So now that we kind of understand the problem, now let's move on to design. So a generalized solution for this might be to look at the rightmost bit and say that's 2 to the 0, times it by the 1, and then go 1 bit to the left, times it by 2 to the 1, go to the left, times it by 2 to the 2, go to the left, times it by 2 to the 3, and keep doing that and so on and so forth until you reach the end. So if we think about that, that should actually work for any binary number. It's not limited to just this one. Okay. So then we need to think about what it is we're actually doing. So when I go here and I times it by 2 to the 0, I can say, okay, well, I need to remember that value, because when I go here, I need to then go and add it to whatever this result is, and then add it to this, and then add it to this. So that means I need some sort of total, a running total that I'm keeping track of. I also need to remember whether or not I'm at 2 to the 0 or 2 to the 1 or 2 to the 2. So I need something that goes from 0 to 1 to 2. So the first two steps in my logic design are to set up two variables. And the first variable is going to be my running total. And the other one's going to be, it keeps track of what position I'm at. So this is the 2 to the 0 spot, 2 to the 1 spot, 2 to the 2, etc., etc. So once I have that, I can go to the rightmost bit, and then I can go ahead and multiply this bit by 2 to the I. And right now I is 0, and I'm going to add it to the total. So 2 to the 0 times 1 is 1, so I'm adding 1 to my total. And now I increment I, and then I go to the left, and then I do it again, right? And I'm going to do this over and over until I reach the leftmost bit. So in my logic design, I'm going to say these are the steps, and now I'm going to repeat these steps over and over. So 2 to the 2 to the 1 times 0 doesn't change anything, right? It's still 0. My total's still 1. Now I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to do it again. 2 to the 2 times 0 is still 0. So I'm going to go ahead and add 0 to my total. It's still 1. I'm going to increment I. I'm going to move one more time. Now it's 2 to the 3 times 1, which is 8. So 8 plus the total. And then I would go to the left, but there's no more digits to the left. So I'm done, right? Now I can print out my total. So if we follow these steps, it's going to work no matter what the binary number is. So I have developed a logic design. And the important thing, again, is that A, it's generalized, but B, notice how many steps are involved. There's a lot more detail to it than you might think initially. So that's the reason we like to write our logic designs out, so we can understand all of the details. And we need to make sure that they're ordered. Also, we have to make sure that they're unambiguous, right? There's nothing in here that's up for interpretation. We're very clear about what our variables are, what our values are, what we're doing. A good way to test that is to hand off your logic design to another person and see if they can do it. And if you can do it on paper, once we're at this point, then you know you have a logic design that's good enough to start coding. So for this lesson, all we're going to focus on is exploring different types of problems where we have to develop logic designs. And then we will go through in following lessons and actually code it out. So thank you very much. Take care, and make sure you're thinking about how to solve those problems. All right?